So if you're going to carry a gun as a self-defense weapon, you need to be skilled with it. And the skills you develop in dry fire, at home, no ammo, unloaded gun, will relate to practice on the range, which would relate to a self-defense scenario. Hey there, it's Lenny McGill with the GlockStore Performance and Custom Shop here at our beautiful farm today. It's a gorgeous July day. A little bit warm, but gorgeous. And we're going to talk about the red dot optics and training with the red dot optic and getting used to the red dot optics. There's a transition period between iron sights and red dot optics. And it's relatively easy, but it does take a little bit of practice. And I've seen people, at shows, and I've seen people at the store, the retail store in Nashville. They'll pick up an optic gun and they'll say, "I don't see the dot. And is it on?" And we go, "Well, yeah, it is. All you need to do is tilt your hand down a little bit." "Oh, there it is." And so then we explain to them the concept of what's happening here is that the reticle inside the red dot is higher than the sights. And hence, you've got to shoot downhill a little bit. So there's a lot of practice that goes with presenting the gun and seeing the dot as you present it, because we don't want to put the gun up there and look for the dot. We want the dot to be there when we present the gun. So you've got to practice, and basically it's a dry fire practice. Now, right now, this is my 43X. It's my carry gun right now because it's so darn small and so easy. I've got the Hullison E or SCS carry, which is the tiny Hullison, but it is the Hullison that is fully enclosed. So that means that the red dot itself, the reticle, the diode that shoots the laser up onto the glass is enclosed. And for concealed carry, I think that's pretty important because you don't get any dust or dirt or lint or water or anything that's going to get on top of that reticle or that laser and interfere with the reticle. So the enclosed optics is kind of the new hot thing for concealed carry. We have our combat cut here, which allows us to mill or cut the footprint of the optic a little bit lower, which then allows us to co-witness with factory sights. So I've got factory sights on this, really for example. A lot of people like the night sights as well, which is a great option. If we were not able to put this as low, and we had the standard optic cut, the standard, optic cut itself is called our standard optic cut. If we did that, we would have the rear sight behind the optic, and we'd have to use suppressor or optic ready sights, which are a little taller. But this is our Apex slide. Kind of just giving you a feel for what I've got on my gun. I've got our the def grips on my gun. I've got our checkered magazine release button, our pyramid trigger, and a pure tungsten guide rod. Back to the optic itself. The presentation or practice with this is really what we want to talk about today and how to get good with it. I've been shooting iron sights for so long that it took me a while to understand and to really feel, and that's the key word, is to feel where that optic is in my hand as I present the gun. So when you dry fire, you bring the gun up, obviously the gun's unloaded, bring the gun up, and we want to be able to present the gun so that I see the optic, red dot, green dot, this happens to be a green dot, as I present the gun. I don't want to present the gun and then kind of go, where is it, and move my head all over the place. I want my head to be still, and I want to bring the gun up to the point where it is automatically lined up with the front and rear sight, and the red dot or the green dot is sitting right on top of the front and rear sight. That's the key. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to present the gun, keep my head still, keep my eyes focused on the target, and bring the gun up into my line of sight. And keep that reticle of the optic inside that glass so I don't have to tilt my hands or tilt my head or do any kind of movement. And it takes practice. Really, you just have to sit home with an unloaded gun and present and feel it. Okay, there's where my hands are supposed to be. And we can kind of review the grip again. On this particular gun, it's a small gun, and 43Xs are tough to shoot because they're small. Right hand or strong hand goes high up on the beaver tail or the tang as possible. All right. We want to be able to, get a grip on that gun, keeping my trigger finger out of the trigger until I'm ready to shoot. But then the key here is to see that empty piece of the frame there. I want to put my palm there, and then I want to wrap that left hand around and squeeze the right hand onto the left hand. All right, so there's the grip. Now, as we come up, we want to be able to make sure that that reticle is in the glass. And it really just takes practice. I really want to make sure that I change my grip from the standard iron sight grip to what is an optic grip, just a little bit. So, you know, even if I come up here like this, I can say, hey, I don't see the optic. If I tilt the gun down just a little bit, there it is. I mean, it's that subtle. So now I've got to train myself or just think about, okay, I've got an optic, I'm coming up, I'm coming here, not here, because that's what I would do with iron sights. I'd come up a little bit more pointy. This way I want to point my finger just down a little bit. And it's so subtle that a lot of people, you know, kind of, you know, miss it. I don't see the optic. Where is it? Okay, well, there it is. Oh, yeah. So we want to practice to the point where we bring that gun up and it's down, it's pointed downward almost, okay? The other thing that we want to start to do, once we kind of get the presentation down, we feel where our hands are supposed to be, feel where our arms feel good, everything feels like the presentation is good, then we want to now practice with the gun here, and we want to move to another target. And at the same time, we want to maintain eye contact with that reticle, and we want that reticle to be in the glass the entire time. And I can actually, you know, at home, if you're doing this at home, guns unloaded, is put some white 8.5 by 11 paper on different parts of your room and go from target, keeping that optic in there, to target, to target. And we're keeping the optic in the glass the entire time, which actually is a really good skill because that will allow you to manage your vision with the optic. So there it is, there it is, there it is. And now you start to build up on your speed, okay? And so the concept would be that if you've got 3 targets and you've got a piece of paper here and here and here, and you start to here and you look at it, and now as you come across, your eyes are starting, you know, once we engage this first target, your eyes go first and you bring the gun to your eyes. So everywhere your head is still, your eyes can move a little bit, that'll get you to the target a little faster. So the key is keep that head still, keep the hands in a spot where you've got it, and then just come across with your waist, and your head is still, and the gun kind of comes with your body. And if you can maintain the optic or the reticle inside the glass in that perfect spot, it's going to move a little bit, to be honest. It's a perishable skill. That's the challenge. You know, it's just like anything else, you know, like golf or any other sport, is that you want to practice on a regular basis. If you're going to carry a gun as a self-defense weapon, you need to be skilled with it. And the skills you develop in dry fire, at home, no ammo, unloaded gun, will relate to practice on the range, which would relate to a self-defense scenario. You've got to be so comfortable with this gun that every time you put it out, you know that wherever you're looking, wherever your eyes are, you can bring the sights to that point. All right, that's really the key, is to bring the gun to your eye. You're not going to bring the gun up and start looking for it. You know that as you present the gun, the sights are going to be lined up. They're going to be pre-aligned because you practice enough that you know as you touch the gun and as you bring it up, you've got to the point where you know every time you're engaging that motion, you can put the gun in the right spot, which I like to call the sweet spot. Because once you develop that sweet spot, everybody's got their own different sweet spot because they're all different as far as your size and your shape and all that. Once you develop your sweet spot, you can literally zip at targets pretty quickly, if, you know, within, you know, distances, to say 10 yards, and just bring the gun straight up and shoot. You don't have to look for the sights because the sights are already there. And the red dot makes it that much easier because it's really just one thing to look at. Whereas with iron sights, it's the front and rear sight with focus on the front sight, which, you know, it makes a lot of sense. Now, all of a sudden, you can see why the red dot, the optic, is faster and used by all the competition shooters because it's a one dot thing. And once you get used to putting that gun up there with that red dot inside the glass, wherever your eyes are focused and that red dot goes to your eyes, that's really important. The red dot comes to your eyes. Your eyes don't go to the red dot. You're bringing the red dot to your line of sight. And so I've got a line of sight, and here comes that red dot. And that's the key. So it's a matter of practicing in a dry fire environment, because that way you have no distractions with the sound, the recoil, and all that other stuff that happens when you shoot. You can focus on the red dot, and you have to do it in dry fire. If you want to become good, you want to become proficient, it's all about dry fire practice. Now let's go ahead and gear up and we'll shoot. All right, eyes and ears, we're ready to go ahead and shoot a little bit. You know, with an optic, I think a lot of times you want to just take your time and make sure that you are dialed into what you want to hit. So I'm just going to do center of mass right here, easy. See that red dot? And that's basically where I was aiming. So I know that the optic is good. So now if I miss, it's me. Same thing over here, just center of mass, just underneath that, that little hanging spot. Just where I want to hit. All right, so. Not bad. Not bad. So the key is one, be comfortable with where the optic is, or the reticle is. Make sure it is dialed into your front sight. And then start to speed up a little bit. Let's go ahead and see if we can have some more fun. Kind of fun. And I always like to tell people, don't just shoot 2 shots, because in the real world, you're going to shoot more than 2 shots. You know, in the competition world, it's kind of a 2-shot burst, 2-shot, 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 but you know, you want to practice more than that. All right, so if you want to join the red dot revolution and you've got a Glock that doesn't have an MOS, we can mill your slide and install the optic in 10 days or less. It's our 10-day optics program. It's basically for any Glock, and we've got just about all the optics available. If you already have the optic, you can send it in with a slide and we'll install for you at no extra charge. If you need the optic and you need suppressor height sights, we can do the whole thing. Just send us your slide, we'll do it all, we'll put the sights on at no extra charge, and we'll send it right back to you in 10 days or less. It's our 10-day optics program. I'm Lenny McGill. This, of course, is the GlockStore Performance and Custom Shop here at the farm in Nashville today. It's a beautiful day. Wish you were here.